I feel like we're at this new dawn, this new era of digital marketing, and performance marketing will never, and I mean never, be the same again. And I'm going to tell you right now why everybody is running in the wrong direction for this update and trying to optimize a very specific way, and what it is that we are doing at Myosin will make a difference for your brand. And even if you're an agency, you'll be able to take some of this framework. It'll up-level your digital marketing. So that will not only change the way your business shows up in the world, but will also change the way you show up in the world. My name's Sean Clayton. I'm the founder of Myosin. At Myosin, one of the things I used to be terrified of was performance marketing. And even though Meta was a client of mine when I was at WPP, what was really interesting was that when I got out into the world by myself and started my own agency, it was kind of at the break of COVID and all of Meta was breaking. iOS 14 started to really change and shake things up. And it put performance marketers in this really odd space to where some were really good and some were really bad, and the diversification was so wide. As I've gone deeper into finding other ways that paid media could work for my clients, CPA deals, buying TV, connected television, and really running as far downstream as I possibly could, one of the things that always kind of set our agency apart was this emotive way that we were able to connect with our clients, a little bit tied to my spiritual journey, but really moreover, being able to see the North Star, the brand why, that golden circle Simon Sinek talks about, as kind of what we would consider as this best way to get down to what your brand stands for and build from there. Most companies that I work with your D2C and whatnot, they always chased after FOMO, really running away from their brand why, and all the ads that you'd see out there on Meta and other places were kind of all the same. I feel like we're at this new dawn, this new era of digital marketing, and performance marketing will never, and I mean never, be the same again. Recently, and you'll see a lot of hype out there if you're in the marketing space, Andromeda, or Meta, came out with this Andromeda update. And I'm going to tell you right now why everybody is running in the wrong direction for this update and trying to optimize a very specific way, and what it is that we are doing at Myosin will make a difference for your brand. And even if you're an agency, you'll be able to take some of this framework. Now, there's some secret sauce that we do that's a little bit unique, but if you engage in this and you at least get the framework of what I'm about to show you, and this link will be publicly available where anybody can go to it, it'll up-level your digital marketing. So I've got this site that we created called Andromeda Meta, because everybody's hard up on this one. And we talk a little bit about this. I have an executive summary tab and a technical view tab. Underneath the executive summary tab, it really is a new performance framework that what I've seen a lot of agencies and a lot of brands do a really crappy job of is they understand this, but they throw a bunch of creative in, and it's kind of like throwing spaghetti against the wall and seeing what sticks. Audience targeting is kind of out right now, and you can do a little bit of it, but it's not going to be what it was. You can give it a little bit of direction, but it's still not what it was. Meta is so much smarter than that, and it's kind of throwing audiences out the window at this point. What we're noticing from an executive summary perspective, and let me get into the technical side of it, because I think this is going to help us understand the way that it works. Why it works. Andromeda is just 1/4 of the puzzle. There's Meta Gem, which is a super brain. There's Meta Lattice, which is this library. And then there's sequential learning, okay? If you don't understand how all of these work, you're only going to get an increase in ad quality that then makes these other areas work better, but you're never going to see the conversion lift. The most interesting thing about this is that if you stack all these up properly, you end up, and I'll show you, this is kind of cool, okay? You end up with 22% higher conversion. That's almost like the guarantee that Meta will give you, okay? You end up with 18% higher ad quality. You end up with a lower cost per acquisition of 35%, 40% faster learning where you get out of learning mode faster, and 28% higher ROAS. So from a technical understanding of this, once you get this piece of information that I'll be sharing with you, the biggest bridge is the creative, but most people, they just kind of iterate and spin up as much as they possibly can, and it's just like a trash can of creative. We've done it myosin, and this is, you never know why you go down the path you go down until you actually get kind of close to the end of the journey. You're like, oh, that's why when I was at WPP, I did this whole neuro lab, and I learned so much about how emotions work. I learned so much around how the brain connects, and that frequency and that signal, if you can categorize it properly, you can give that resonant feedback back to a system, which will then pick up on it. So if you build with that in mind, tied to the brand why, you got something magical. So that NeuroLab Foundation, it gave me an understanding that not a lot of people have around how creative really works, how platforms work, and understanding the beta and alpha and theta brainwaves of how somebody moves through the world. In addition to that, the tonal range dimensions is a very specific system that we built out around 5 emotional polarities. And what it ends up doing is it takes young archetypes, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and I don't know if you know anything about Hawking's scale of consciousness, and it bridges it into a scoring framework. That when we put creative in, we get a resonant score out based on either your brand why or the goals you're looking to attain. So now what we have is this entire bridge that's helped individuals get to a very specific endpoint that has changed the game exponentially for our agency. And I'll give you an example of this. I used to be horrendous at meta marketing, personally. I was really good a long time ago, like 2020 and back. And then when the iOS algorithms changed, I was like, this is way too much work. I'm going to go another direction. I had a client come to me recently. They were doing about $200,000 a year in revenue. They were spending a little bit on Meta, and they said, here's all my creatives, here's what it looks like. And I was doing a lot of research on this. I think I researched about 40 hours and launched their ads. They're on pace right now within 10 days to do $1.5 million in revenue overnight. Crazy for the year. Okay. Now we have just started scale and I'm pushing scale and doubling it every day. And we're still hitting a 2 to 2.5x ROAS, and it's being extremely profitable in the contribution margin for this client. I say all this to say that, and the product's great, and it's a $25 product. It's not like it's some crazy high AOV. And the conversions are coming in super low. People are signing up for subscriptions, and I anticipate that based on where this is going to be a very explosive year for that client. And there's also portfolio agencies or portfolio brands that live inside of this. So if you don't understand kind of the way that GEM works and how you can connect into the super brain, then you're going to be doing this Andromeda thing forever, which is what everybody's doing. Okay. And it's a cool, like machine learning co-design system that makes the creative work like hella fast. But if you don't get these other 3, you're going to be in for like, you're going to be one of the agencies that's moving backward instead of forward pretty quickly. You'll get some wins here, and then it'll go the opposite direction. Okay. With our Neuro Foundation, when we studied this before, when we implement it now, okay, we end up with more character variety. And what that means is we increase the brand impact by 26%. So your brand lives out, which also means you have more brand loyalty. People want to follow you. Therefore, what's going to happen on the Google search side of things, they're going to remember you, they're going to search for you, you're not going to lose it. In addition to that, your information focus is more memorable and more engaging. Therefore, your hook and hold rates go up. We see that all the time within our creative. And people are also going to remember you when they look at you versus another brand. And all you have to do is just tack a little proof over the top and the thing takes off. And then the offers and promos are also 30% more memorable and more engaging when you take this neurofeedback, because you're entering individuals' subconscious programming using alpha theta states to then get them to a space to where they trust you more implicitly. Now, some of the things that you're going to see out there on the web, and this is kind of over and over again, is like how you build out your campaign architecture. We have that in there. Okay. You need to build from these awareness stages. This is how they built the backend structure of their algorithm to be able to move individuals through its own combined funnel. This is tied to this area of the algorithm, which is right around sequential learning. So it builds inside of the actual ad set a sequential learning model. And that sequential learning model, if you do it right, moves individuals through these problem, solution, product, and most aware. Then you have required formats that we know are tried and true and work, and I'm sure more formats will come out, but this is pretty much the 7 that make the most sense. You know your assets, specifications. I mean, that's, this is just a playbook that we go by. How you look at the weekly cadence. So this is how we look at the weekly cadence. What you optimize off of is not what you used to optimize off of. okay? And there's a lot of videos out that talk about this. In addition to troubleshooting and performance. So if delivery slows, if CPM spike, if CTR is weak, these are optimization rules that you move down. And then you do a QA checklist on the other side to make sure that you're always keeping everything super tight. And so what good looks like, this is what we've seen up to this point. If you're spending about $50,000 a month, okay, but you're going to be able to do this if you haven't been able to do it before, if you follow these tactics, you need to put 12 proven creatives into market that are working. So in order to do that, you probably need about 36, okay? Now, that's a lot. There's some tools out there. If you reach out to us, we can help you with identifying what those tools like, and we also have done for you services on our side. But I do 3, our team does 3 at each awareness stage. We do 16 in testing all the time. So we have 4 at each awareness stage so we can move those up the ladder faster. And then we always have 20 to 30 creatives that are in production at all times so we can move creative in and out based on that 50K that we're putting into market. Now, the higher the budgets to go, the more creative that you're going to need. In addition to that, okay, what you want to be able to see is high new customer share, and we look at that through the view of incremental attribution. We target about a 1.5 ROAS on incremental attribution. It's a setting inside of Meta you can look at that gives you a view on it. If you're fortunate enough to use like a Triple Whale or Northbeam or one of those other attribution platforms, you'll start to see it a little bit differently inside of those worlds, but make sure it's set up properly. The last thing is event match quality. You've got to be above an 8. And there's another secret inside of this that feeds the brain. The more data that you can give Meta, the stronger that your performance is going to be. And there's a whole schema and taxonomy that we work off of that where we feed it these different signals. It's like, oh my gosh, you're giving me stuff I've never seen before. And you reward the algorithm. Well, the algorithm rewards you for you actually giving it air to breathe. So with that said, this is a little bit of a framework. We've got a RACI that sits there. If this is too technical for you, then we've also got the executive summary here. But I encourage you, there's so much noise out there about this right now. Everybody is literally chasing 1/4 of the pie, okay? They're not chasing the thing, the whole bucket. And if you chase 1/4 of it and you just do the Andromeda thing, you're gonna do well for a little while, and then you are not gonna have the sauce to be able to connect Lattice to the brain, to the sequential learning. We're going to be the best in the world at it. In addition to that, you'll have the opportunity to work with heart-centered, feeling-centered individuals that will not only change the way your business shows up in the world, but will also change the way you show up in the world. Looking forward to hearing back from you, and I hope this helps. Thank you so much, and we love you.